The bar was too loud, and the lights too bright. Across the crowded private room, Alexander sat in the far corner, a glass of bourbon untouched before him. Friends kept throwing these gatherings, thinking they were mending a fractured friendship. They didn't understand. It wasn't a rift. It was a clean, brutal break. Lucas and Ethan meant well, but their efforts were a special kind of torture. Every forced encounter was a fresh tear in a wound that refused to heal. Alexander's gaze drifted to the other end of the leather booth, where Julian leaned against the wall, his expression unreadable beneath the shifting neon glow. In the past, even sitting side by side felt like too much distance. Now, the width of the room between them felt like a canyon. A familiar restlessness, sharp and acidic, churned in Alexander's gut. He didn't want to be here. He couldn't stand the sight of him. He made a show of slamming his glass down on the table, the sound cutting through the music. His eyes locked onto Julian's. They'd always communicated in a kind of silent shorthand. A single look was enough. Julian's jaw tightened, and he was the first to speak, his voice low but carrying an edge. "You got a problem with me?" Alexander stood, the movement abrupt. He snatched a bottle from the table and sent it shattering against the dark wood floor. "Yeah, I got a problem. The sight of you pisses me off." It was like lighting a fuse. Alexander crossed the space in 3 long strides, grabbing Julian by the collar of his shirt. His fist connected with Julian's jaw before he even registered swinging. Julian didn't hesitate, shoving him back. They crashed into a low table, scattering bottles. No pheromones were released, just the raw, physical violence of fists and fury. For a second, Lucas and Ethan just stared, stunned. Then Lucas shouted for someone to pull them apart. Hands grabbed at Alexander's arms, his shoulders, hauling him back. He spat out a mouthful of coppery blood, his chest heaving. "Julian," he snarled, the name tasting like venom, "we are done. You see me, you walk the other way." Julian wiped his lip, his dark eyes burning. "Right back at you." The message was sent, loud and clear. "Stop trying to fix this." Later, in the concrete chill of the underground garage, Alexander found Julian leaning against his car. He was tall, all long lines and lean muscle, head bowed so his dark hair fell across his eyes. He straightened as Alexander approached, wordlessly tossing him a cold gel pack. Alexander caught it, pressing the icy compress to his throbbing cheekbone with a hiss. A flicker of amusement crossed Julian's features. "You could have pulled your punch," Alexander grumbled. "Lucas is sharp. He wouldn't have bought it if we'd held back." Alexander looked at the bruise blossoming on Julian's own face and let out a short, strained laugh. "Yeah. Okay. See you." He turned to his car door. Julian said nothing, just watched him slide into the driver's seat. Alexander hesitated, then rolled down the window. Doubt we'll be getting any more of these friendly invites. A non-committal hum was the only reply. The familiar, frustrating reticence sparked a useless anger in Alexander's chest. On what grounds could he be angry now? Once, he could rage about flat soda, or a lost video game, or a bad dream, and be met with nothing but Julian's patient, exasperated smile. Those memories were so vivid, so painfully bright. He looked at Julian, who was already watching him. Longing had a physical shape. It pooled in the eyes like a gathering fog. Alexander felt a sudden, dangerous prickling behind his own eyes. He jerked the window up, but at the last second, hurled the gel pack back. It hit Julian's chest with a soft thud. Julian's eyelashes dipped. He shook his head, the ghost of a bitter smile on his lips. So childish. But in the rearview mirror, Alexander saw him remain perfectly still, a solitary figure growing smaller, watching the car until it turned the corner. Alexander drove, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. He wanted to turn back. That was the hand he'd held. Those were the lips that had kissed him with desperate, wild heat. He had possessed that person completely. So why were they here? They should have been driving home together, complaining about bored meetings, arguing over whether to spend their limited vacation time skiing in Aspen or escaping to a beach house in the Hamptons. But a colder, heavier voice answered, "It's not an option anymore." He'd known deep down for years. Their genetic tests all but confirmed it. They were both destined to be S-class alphas, the golden heirs to their family empires. Their futures were blueprint, a powerful, politically advantageous marriage to an S-class omega, producing the next generation of flawless, formidable successors. Their childhood pact, whoever presented as an omega would marry the other, was just a sweet, impossible fantasy. Waking from that dream demanded payment in excruciating heartache. They avoided private gatherings. Their families, oblivious to the truth, ensured their paths still crossed. At a charity gala at the Metropolitan Club, Alexander arrived with his parents. The room was a sea of old money and new influence. And there, seated together near the marble fireplace, were Julian and a young man Alexander recognized from society pages. Asher Reed. Alexander's eyes instinctively went to the discreet patch at the base of Asher's neck. An S-class omega. He'd been raised mostly in Europe, otherwise he would have been part of their childhood circle. Dinner was a symphony of clinking silver and murmured talk of federal interest rates and mergers. Asher's father chuckled, addressing the table. "Asher here is a couple years younger. Should call you brother, Julian. You two ought to get acquainted. He's at that age now." Asher looked up. He was strikingly handsome with a polished, lively charm. He turned to Julian with a smile. "Julian." Julian gave a brief nod. "Good to have you back. I don't know the city half as well as I should." Asher continued smoothly. "Maybe you could show me around sometime?" "Sure." The shared glance between Julian's father and Asher's was unmistakable. A thinly veiled matchmaking dinner, using Alexander's family as polite cover. People like them never wasted a meal or a word. The fine bone china handle of Alexander's fork clicked against his plate. He looked up and found Julian's gaze already on him. A heavy, shapeless ache settled in his chest. Excusing himself, he made for the men's lounge. He heard Julian's mother's voice as the door swung shut. "They make such a lovely pair." Lovely, because one was alpha and the other omega? Alexander braced his hands on the cold granite sink, splashing water on his face. This was inevitable. For both of them. He took a steadying breath. When he turned, Julian was there, leaning against the tiled wall. A cigarette glowed between his fingers. He took a drag, then silently offered it. Alexander accepted, inhaling. It was a different brand now. Sandalwood. It smelled like his own scent. In the haze of smoke, Julian's fingers brushed his cheek. "You're crying." "Just water," Alexander said, wiping his face. He forced a lightness into his tone. "Congrats, man. Sounds like things are moving. You know, I'll get you a killer wedding gift." Every emotion seemed to freeze on Julian's face. "Is that really what you want?" "Of course. I expect the same when the words were cut off by a kiss. It was desperate, possessive. Alexander's hands instinctively rose to Julian's neck, then faltered, hovering in the air. Julian's grip on his jaw was firm, his tongue a fierce, claiming invasion. The taste was pure longing and sorrow. Alexander's eyes stung. He shoved Julian back hard. The glib joke about assaulting an ex died on his tongue when he saw Julian's eyes, red-rimmed and shattered. Julian's thumb wiped moisture from the corner of Alexander's mouth. "Alexander, how long has it been?" 2 months? 46 days. A new record, then. They'd never gone that long without seeing each other. When I think about all the future 46-day stretches ahead, I think I might lose my mind. Julian's arms wrapped around him, crushing him in a hold that felt like it wanted to fuse their bones. Would it be easier just to die? Alexander blinked rapidly. This broken man was a stranger. Julian was always the pillar. Controlled, formidable, unshakable. Now he seemed brittle. A quiet sigh escaped Alexander. So much for thinking distance would heal anything. In the limousine home, his parents discussed the match. His mother thought it a done deal. His father was more pragmatic. An S-class alpha of Julian's caliber is rare. The reads are solid, but there might be better options. The family will weigh it carefully. His mother glanced at him then, pride in her gaze. An S-class alpha. In their world, genetic supremacy dictated everything. It granted access, commanded respect, and secured a dynasty's future. "You've been quiet tonight," she noted. "Feeling all right?" "What if," Alexander began, the words leaving him before he could stop them, "I chose not to marry." A sudden silence filled the car. His father's face hardened. "Don't be absurd. You want some illegitimate child inheriting the Sterling legacy?" "I don't want children at all." The atmosphere turned to ice. He caught the sharp, agitated spike of his father's cedarwood scent from the front seat. "Alexander, you are not a child. You understand your responsibility. Look what happened to the Carters when their line produced no top-tier heir. That will not be us. And if my child isn't an S-class? You keep trying. 10, 20 times. You will have no shortage of willing partners. But what if I don't love them? Love is a luxury. Duty is not." Alexander murmured an acknowledgement and closed his eyes. The conflict was a roar in his skull. Was preserving a family's name really more important than Julian? A small, defiant voice screamed that love was everything. The gossip columns soon buzzed with photos of Julian and Asher. The reads were clearly pushing the narrative. One particular shot showed them outside a gallery, Julian hands in pockets looking detached, Asher smiling warmly beside him. Alexander drained his glass in one go. Ethan slung an arm around his shoulders. His perceptive gaze missed little. "We're born with every advantage, man. But the universe demands a trade. We get the wealth, the power. We give up the right to choose who we love. Don't fight the inevitable. When did you figure it out? A while ago. You only fooled Lucas." Ethan changed the subject, sensing his mood. "The reads are moving fast. Wonder what their next play will be." The answer came sooner than expected. A call from the housekeeper at Julian's penthouse. Her voice was trembling with fear. "Mr. Sterling, you need to come. Now, it's Mr. Blackwood." Alexander was already on his feet, grabbing his coat. "What's wrong?" "His cycle, it started early. He's in a bad way." An S-class alpha's unscheduled cycle was dangerous. The rampant pheromones and aggression were barely containable. They had secure suites for this. Or, if they had a bonded omega, they would spend the fevered, intimate days together. "I'm on my way. But, Mr. Reed is here." He went in. Alexander's footsteps halted. Of course, Asher was there. An omega scent could soothe the savage need. In that state, an alpha might even give a temporary mark. It was also perfectly logical. His role was obsolete. He managed a hollow laugh. "Then he's got it handled. I won't interfere." "No, Mr. Sterling, please." The omega, he started screaming. "There's crashing, we're scared to go near." A rejection. If an alpha refused an omega's scent, the violence could be catastrophic. Alexander swore and ran for his car. The penthouse was chaos. Staff huddled outside. The moment Alexander stepped in, he was hit by the overwhelming, aggressive scent of sandalwood, thick with rage and desire. He pushed into the master bedroom. It looked ransacked. Julian was on the floor by the bed, trembling, muscles corded, fingers clawing the rug. Asher was crumpled near the door, conscious but dazed, blood smearing his sleeve, the cloying scent of gardenia saturating the air. Even Alexander felt a hot, unwelcome pull. He hauled Asher up. "We need to get you out." A hand, burning hot, clamped around his ankle. Julian looked up, sweat-drenched, his eyes black and wild. "Alexander, don't go. Let go. I have to get him to safety. Please." The grip tightened. The phenomenal assault intensified. "Don't leave me. I'm begging you." Alexander brutally wrenched his foot free. "I'll come back." Julian's roar of anguish followed him into the hall. In his arms, Asher's lashes fluttered. "You came for me?" "Cut the scent output," Alexander snapped, struggling against his own rising response. Asher gave a weak, strange smile. "You like it, though. I prefer you, you know. But my parents said you were harder to reach." Alexander ignored him, depositing him with the housekeeper. "Call Ethan. He'll handle the discreet care. And silence on this." He rushed back. Julian was waiting, a predator coiled. The moment Alexander's own cedar scent filled the space, Julian surged forward, dragging him down. The kiss was a conflagration.
Klotes Tore.
There was no gentleness, only a frantic, aching need to reconnect, to possess, to forget the world outside. For 7 days, they lost themselves. Afterward, standing before the bathroom mirror, Alexander surveyed the map of bruises and bites. Julian entered, wrapping his arms around him from behind, resting his chin on Alexander's shoulder. "I didn't think you'd come. Let you kill someone? He'd have been a PR nightmare." Julian's arms tightened. "Do you ever think we made the wrong choice?" Alexander met his gaze in the reflection. "I used to think always was a guarantee. I never pictured a future without you in it. Now we're splitting over legacy. Sometimes I wish I'd been born a common Omega. If you were an Omega, you'd let me be the Alpha? If it meant we could be together, yes." Alexander pushed away gently. "I have to go." Another moment and he'd never leave. Julian released him, pain flashing in his eyes. "Alexander, can we ever let this go?" "I don't know." But he did know. It was impossible. Julian was stitched into the fabric of his soul. His own cycle hit not long after, triggered by the earlier phenomenal storm. He retreated to his secure, sterile safe room. He brought one extra suitcase. When the feverish ache and destructive urge peaked, he unzipped it, pulling out an old hoodie, a worn t-shirt, the pillowcase from Julian's bed. He buried his face in the familiar, fading sandalwood scent. It was a poor substitute for warm skin and solid arms. He cursed Julian, then cursed himself for the irrational anger. Finally, in the empty silence, he cried. It was the worst cycle of his life. The pain didn't end there. The invitation arrived on heavy creamstock. Julian Blackwood and Asher Reed. A celebration of engagement. His office was a wreck of shattered electronics and porcelain when the cleaning staff found him. He sat motionless in his chair, blood dripping from a cut on his hand onto the Persian rug. Asher found him there later. "You're hurt. What do you want?" "To thank you. For that day." He paused. "You wondered why his cycle came early? My parents engineered it. They wanted his mark on me." Alexander finally looked at him. Asher's smile was brittle. "I'm just a bargaining chip." But knowing that didn't make the rejection hurt less. "I still have no choice. Who I'm with, who marks me. It's never been my choice. For what it's worth, I meant what I said. I like you better." Alexander felt no sympathy. They were all in gilded cages. The engagement party was a spectacle. The Reed estate swarmed with press and elites. Asher glittered in a white tuxedo, playing his part flawlessly until a strange tension crossed his features. A moment later, the distinct, sweet fragrant scent of gardenia bloomed in the air, laced with unmistakable heat. He'd gone into cycle. Here. Now. Glasses shattered. Chaos rippled through the crowd. An S-Class Omega's unleashed scent was a potent trigger. Alexander locked eyes with Ethan across the room, then moved. He pushed through the stirring guests, grabbed Asher, and half-carried him up the grand staircase to a guest suite. The scent was overpowering here, fogging his mind, heating his blood. Asher clung to him, his skin flushed. "Alexander, was this your plan?" Alexander growled, fighting to keep his own instincts in check. Asher's laugh was breathy. I just drank the champagne they gave me. Mark me. Do it and this farce ends. You'll have to take responsibility. Don't, and watch this entire event turn into a scandal they'll never recover from. Alexander's teeth ached. His gaze fixed on the vulnerable gland at Asher's neck. I could call for another alpha, and be known as the Omega who was claimed by a stranger at his own engagement. I'd be ruined. The noise from below was growing. Alexander made his decision. He pushed Asher down, biting hard into the scent gland. Asher cried out, then moaned as the temporary bond snapped into place, the scents merging. The crisis in the room below would now diffuse. Before Alexander could pull back, Asher's hands were at his belt, seeking a kiss. Alexander turned his head away just as the door burst open. Ethan stared in. Are you insane? Alexander stood. It's just a temp, he froze. Julian stood in the doorway, his face a mask of utter devastation, eyes blood-red. He crossed the room in a blur, grabbing Alexander by the throat and slamming him against the wall. You marked him. His voice was a raw, shattered thing. You dared to mark someone else. The unfairness of it ignited Alexander's own fury. He drove his fist into Julian's stomach. You're the one getting engaged. Shouldn't I be the one pissed off? They fought with a brutality born of heartbreak and jealousy, crashing out into the hall, tumbling down part of the staircase. They landed in a heap in the main hall, Julian's hands around Alexander's throat, tears falling from his eyes onto Alexander's face. Around them, voices pleaded, scolded, tried to reason. Julian's father's voice cut through. That's enough. The engagement is off, mister. Blackwood stated coldly, glaring at the horrified Reeds. We don't accept these conditions. Julian's grip didn't loosen. He was looking only at Alexander. Alexander, if the world ended right now, what would you do? To kiss you. Julian's hands fell away. He leaned down, his lips meeting Alexander's in a kiss that was tender, fleeting, and final. We always want the same thing. The roaring silence in the grand hall was absolute. Julian stood, pulling Alexander up with him, their fingers interlacing. They faced the stunned, judgmental crowd together. Alexander saw his father's rage, his mother's tears. The world had ended. But with Julian's hand in his, it didn't feel like the end. His parents' version of hell was a specialized containment cell for high-level alphas. For solid steel walls. No windows. His mother came, weeping. Just apologize. Promise you'll have an heir. That's all he wants. No, there will only ever be Julian. His father's voice echoed through the door. Julian came to his senses. Why can't you? He hasn't. You're lying. The stalemate stretched. He knew they couldn't keep him forever. He would win this one crucial rebellion. They released him sooner than expected. The light from the open door was blinding. His father's face was a storm of anger and something else, fear. He struck Alexander. Look what you've done. Behind his father stood men Alexander recognized, Blackwood family security. Dread, cold and absolute, seized him. Julian. Julian had been confined as well. In a moment of profound despair, he had used a sharpened piece of metal to seriously damage his own scent gland, the source of an alpha's power, his S-class status, everything. His father delivered the news outside the hospital surgery wing. He said if he wasn't an S-class alpha, maybe then he could be with you. He refused to go into surgery until you came. The weight of those words crushed Alexander. He looked at Julian's parents, at his own, their faces aged with worry and betrayal. We invested everything in you, Julian's father said. His voice strained. The families, you were our pride. Was that worth nothing? Alexander lifted his head, looking at the glowing surgery sign. Julian had gambled everything for a chance. I promise you, Alexander said, his voice surprisingly steady, we will devote our lives to our family's success. We will uphold every duty. But we cannot sacrifice each other for a future 100 years from now. He took a shaky breath. Or, were we ever just your sons? Loved regardless of what we were. If failing to be the perfect heirs means we're unworthy of being your children, then take back the genetics, the legacy. Take back everything. His mother rushed forward, slapping his arm before clutching him to her. Don't you ever say that. Ever. The surgery lights went off. Julian's father rushed to the doctor, the powerful mogul looking, for the first time, simply like a frightened father. His son? The surgery was successful. Recovery will determine the full extent of the damage. The man sagged in relief. Alexander knew with a painful, soaring clarity that they had won. With Julian's reckless, terrible courage, they had won. He was dozing in the hospital chair when fingers traced his face. He opened his eyes to see Julian smiling weakly up at him. The dam broke. You crazy, self-destructive idiot. What were you thinking? It must have been agony. It didn't hurt as much as seeing his mark on you. They shared the narrow hospital bed, limbs tangled, hearts beating in sync. I'm sorry it took me so long to be that brave, Julian whispered. Alexander played with the simple, silver band on Julian's finger. A cheap thing from a street vendor years ago. A spontaneous promise under city lights. Julian took the matching ring from the chain around Alexander's neck and slid it onto his finger. Now we can wear them. Later, Julian's hand slid under his shirt, his mouth following a familiar trail of kisses. Alexander arched into the touch, breathless. Julian paused, looking up at him. Say it. Julian. Try again. Husband. Afterward, tangled in sheets, Alexander was glad he'd remembered to lock the door. Julian recovered, his strength returning even if his scent carried a new, softer nuance. Driving home from his final checkup, Lucas's name flashed on the car display. Alexander declined the call. He'll just keep calling, Julian said, taking the phone. He answered. Yeah, he's here. Lucas's indignant voice filled the car. 20 years of friendship and you two pull this? They met at their usual bar. Apologies were made. Blame was deflected onto a laughing Ethan. Eventually, Lucas shoved Julian's shoulder. You owe me for the engagement gift I bought. You'll get it back. We're not taking gifts until it's our wedding. And your parents? Ethan asked. A truce for now. We'll give them space. Time. You two actually did it. The ultimate screw you to the system. I'll drink to that. Outside, the first snow of the year was falling, dusting the sidewalk. Another winter begun together. Julian pulled him close. So how much was this famous wedding gift you promised me? Alexander thought for a second. 46,000. Julian's arms tightened around him. Let's never break that record again. That's up to you, Mr. Blackwood. Unless you plan on another engagement. A playful pinch to his side made him yelp. Julian's eyes sparkled. Take it back? I take it back. Snow settled in their hair, catching in the dark strands like premature silver. Alexander reached up, brushing a flake from Julian's eyebrow. There's a line from some old poem, he murmured, about sharing the snow and it being like sharing white hair. Julian kissed him, soft and sure. Not like sharing it. We will share it. All of it. Alexander kissed him back, the taste of winter and promise on his lips. Yes, all of it.